Hello class, today we will start the last chapter of the first book, that is Challenges of Cultural Diversity. Like how in the earlier chapters we studied about caste inequality, gender inequality, class inequality, and we studied about the inequalities faced by the tribals and the lower caste. So here in this chapter we will study about cultural diversity, that is differences. Okay, so diversity emphasizes on differences rather than on inequalities. So to be diverse means to be different, like how India is a it is a multicultural pluralist society. That means there are a lot of cultures that are living in that exist in India. So diversity means differences. Okay, it focuses on differences. So India is a country of great cultural diversity. So India, there is a lot of different cultural communities, linguistic, racial, caste communities that exist in our country, and more or less we can say that they are living in harmony, more or less, not perfectly. In India, there are communities having different language, religion, race, caste, etc. You get it? So the importance of community identity, why it is important to have a community identity, and where do we get this community identity from? So a stable and firm identity is a must. So having an identity, okay, so it is very important to be known, or to say that I belong to this community and this is my identity is important. So that is a must. Our identity gets socialized by our family and our community. So belonging to a certain community or being born to a certain community, it is not your choice. You just take birth in a certain community and yeah, you belong to that community. It's not your free choice. Maybe when you grow up and you learn about different communities, you may want to disown your community and move to, and then start assimilating with the other community. But somewhere or the other, people will identify you as belonging to your familial birth community. So it is through our community that we attain our cultural values and language. Yeah, so I belong to a Nepali community, my language is Nepali, and my cultural values, or yeah, cultural values, all of these celebrations and all, will be that of a Nepali community. You may belong to a Muslim community or a Bengali community, and all your values, your languages, your ethnicity will be driven or influenced by your community, the community in which you are born. Community identity is based on birth and belonging. Like I said, that you are born to a community, there is no choice. It is an ascribed status, that is, it's not achieved. You don't have to work for it, or you don't have to pass an exam to belong to a certain community. So it is an ascribed identity which is beyond one's choice. However, people have a deep sense of belongingness and security for one's community. So you if you go to a foreign country and you meet someone belonging to your community, you instantly click with that person. You instantly, you feel a sense of belongingness to that particular person. And if somebody will say something about your community, you obviously will defend your community and talk for it. Ascribed identity such as community or familial identity is strong. Yeah, that's why you feel a sense of belongingness, and people are even ready to fight for the community to keep the community secure and strong. So even if we want to break away from such identity, people will continue to identify us as such. So even if you want to disown your community, okay, but then people will always know that you have come from this community, and they will identify you as the community itself. Human beings are emotionally tied to their community. Okay, they have a sense of love and devotion for the community. Ascribed community identities are universal. So there are, like, each and every individual in this universe, in this planet, they have a community. They have their community cultural values, the languages. Generally, all individuals have a motherland, mother tongue, faith, etc., like I said, and most of the individuals have huge respect and love for their community. Like most. maybe some don't, but out of 100 maybe 2 or 3 may not, but the rest will have a lot of respect and love and devotion, loyalty towards their community. They have the belief that their community is superior to the other, which results in conflict between communities. Yeah, so one community thinks that their community is superior than the rest, and due to the love for the community, they may tend to fight with the people of the other community. At war, the patriots of each nation see the other as their enemy and vice versa. Okay, so communities, nations, and states. So nation is a community of communities. When you think of a nation, you cannot, think of one single definition, because the definition of and the idea of nation, it varies. It is a community of communities. It is a huge community which under it has various thousands and lakhs of communities. So the term state is an abstract entity consisting of a set of political legal institutions claiming control over a particular geographical territory and the people living in it. If you know what state is, there are states under the Indian nation, and then they have control over a certain area and upon the people living in that area, politically and legally. It is quite difficult to define what a nation is. So it is a quite difficult term to be defined, because the concept of nation may be different in different places. Nation simply is a community having various communities. Like I mentioned, nations are formed on the basis of common culture, history, political institutions, shared religion, language, etc. So generally, in a general sense, that is what we think, that nation, it is formed on the basis of like people having a common culture, history, political institution, similar religion, language, etc. However, there are nations not having a single language, religion, ethnicity, etc., like that of India. We don't have a common culture. We don't have we have a common Indian history, but if you think of community wise, we don't have a similar history. There are various political institutions, religions, are many languages. Linguistically, we are very diverse. So we don't fit into that definition of nation. So that's why the definition of nation is quite difficult to define it. Okay, however, there are nations not having single language, as I told. So there are many languages, there are many languages, religion shared across one nation, like that of India. So policy of assimilation and integration. So what is policy of assimilation? It aims at persuading, encouraging, or forcing citizens to adopt a uniform set of cultural values and norms. These values are mostly of dominant communities. So yeah, the policy of assimilation, it forces the people, the minority communities, to follow the cultural values and norms and languages of that. Okay, and the language and the cultural values they are asked to follow is that of the dominant community, the community which is the majority community. So policy of integration is of the view that the public culture must be national, whereas non-national must be limited to the private sphere. So when we come out in the public sphere, we come out as Indians. Okay, so we have to restrict ourselves to our national culture, national behavior, whereas our non-national means our like community-wise, values, language can be enacted in the private sphere. Yeah, like for example, when you go to do some interview, they may talk to you in Hindi or English, that is the official language. But when you come home, you will talk in your community language. So that's it. Okay.